I want to live the best life.
Ask your doctor or pharmacist if Pharmacodynamics has an affordable generic suitable for you.
Welcome back. The relationship between mood and weight is complicated, affected by a variety of components, including food choices and hormones and individual coping skills. Whether people gain weight because they're depressed or become depressed because of weight gain, no one really knows. We do know that there is a clear link. Would you agree with that, Liz?
No, absolutely, Michael. There's very good long-term evidence that shows people who are overweight in the long term have a higher risk of depression, and likewise people who are depressed have a higher chance of gaining weight.
Okay. Karin, you talked about, not earlier, but you've mentioned that your weight gain had an emotional component. Just tell us a bit more about that.
I think it's quite a lot to do with comfort eating when you're feeling down or when you're feeling a bit depressed, and I think the link is quite clear with that.
But there are also very clear biological or physical links between the two. And that's mainly related to changes in your hormonal system, so in your endocrine system and in your immune system.
That's right.
It is quite complicated, but one of the basic changes is that you actually have elevated cortisol, which is stress hormone, in both conditions. So when you are depressed, your cortisol goes up, and that prevents you losing weight. And likewise, when you are overweight, your body's in a state of stress, you release more cortisol and you actually then become depressed. So it's really a vicious cycle between the two.
Gosh, I didn't know that.
And why is it that when we're feeling down, we eat more? Because, you know, there's one thing is weight gain, but eat more is almost another component of.
Well, there are a few reasons for that. You spoke about comfort eating, and I think that really goes back to childhood when children really are soothed and placated with food. Right. So babies in distress, put them on the breast. Children who've hurt themselves, give them a sweet. There are a few other reasons though. I think people when they get depressed also get very anxious. And people who are anxious often look for coping mechanisms throughout the day. Some people smoke, some people drink, and some people eat to relieve the anxiety.
So Liz, we had a question earlier about the motivation to lose weight. And I think Karin and I sort of stumbled across an answer in our own personal experience. As a psychiatrist, what do you say the answer is?
Look, I think one of the problems is really that when people go on diet, they see it as a short-term solution. So they go on diet and in their mind already they're seeing, when I get to the end of the diet, I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. And what people really need to do is actually make a long-term lifestyle change. And that lifestyle change needs to be something that you can maintain. You spoke about yo-yo dieting. And again, it sets you up for failure, because when you're restricting yourself and when you cut out specific things from your diet, you actually have an effect on your mood. So a good example of that is that when you don't eat a lot of carbohydrate, it's very difficult for your brain to produce serotonin, which is what I think most people know is your kind of happy hormone or your feel-good or your mood regulator, really. So obviously, if you can't regulate your mood, you're putting yourself in a very dodgy position, really.
So let's talk exercise, my favorite pastime. You know, Karin loves exercise too. We talked about that earlier. But, I mean, exercise we know has got physical health benefits, but it also has benefits for depression, because all of a sudden you are playing an active role in kind of caring for yourself and making a change in your own life. Would you agree?
Well, I agree with that, but it's actually even more than that. And as a psychiatrist, I often recommend exercise to people. There are two reasons. First of all, in the short term, you do release endorphins, which I think people have heard about, and you kind of feel good in the moment. But in the long term, as you do particularly cardiovascular exercise, your brain releases growth hormones, which actually help your brain to kind of, particularly the depressed brain, to regenerate and reconnect with itself. So it's a very healthy thing for depressed people to do, and it has a great effect in the long run. So I'm all for exercise.
So I'm going to throw a controversial question at you here. What about medication? Would that help with weight loss?
With weight loss, look, it's not usually a first recommended way of dealing with weight. Obviously, if you've got a depression or some other mental health problem that medication can help, it can put you in the right frame of mind to do the other things that help you to lose weight. There have been medications in the past that are specifically for weight loss, but often they have quite dangerous side effects. And often they're not good for long-term weight maintenance. You lose a lot of weight dramatically and then you pick it up again.
Okay. Give us a nutshell response. Someone comes to you, says, I need advice with regards to weight loss. From a psychiatric perspective, what would you say?
people don't realize there's a huge amount of professional help out there. So it might be going to see a dietitian as a starting point so that people are well educated around food choices and are doing the right thing for themselves. It might be to see a psychologist or a counselor so that you're dealing with the underlying emotional issues, and then seeing a psychiatrist potentially for a good assessment around your mood and to look at whether medication is indicated.
Karin, you're not a psychiatrist, but you've been there, done that.
Yes.
What would your advice be? I'd love to hear that.
I think it's about nurturing oneself and being kind to oneself. So not being too hard on yourself for the failures, because, you know, the only failure is not trying, really. So I think it's important just to be good to yourself, but also to have a plan where you can see something developing, so that you can see a difference, which will motivate you.
And celebrate those small successes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Karin, thank you so much, Liz. Great advice.
Thank you.
Justine knows all about mood swings, because if you haven't noticed, she's pregnant, or at least was. 2 weeks ago, she gave birth to a beautiful little boy who was still in her womb when she cooked up this delicious low-fat meal for us.
Ask your doctor or pharmacist if Pharmacodynamics has an affordable generic suitable for you.